The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily represent those of Access Fort Wayne, the Allen County Public Library, or any other supporting group. Access Fort Wayne is a department of the Allen County Public Library. If you or anyone you know might be interested in making a television show, please call 260-421-1250.
Welcome to the Kachman Wellness Show. Today I have two guests with me, and this show, as you know, is about preventing, stopping, reversing diabetes. I have Jerome Solomon here, a doctor of nutrition, and William Steele here, who himself is exemplifying diabetes. He readily admits it, but I promise you, within 2 months, and he's going to follow some books that I will present to him today. And 2 months from now, he's going to be on this show and show us he get rid of his diabetes. And why I'm so passionate about it, frankly, is it has so many diseases associated with it. Let me review those with you a little bit. For example, dementia, memory loss, cancers of the brain, dental disease is a big one. Those bacteria love to eat sugar, and if you're a type 2 diabetic, you got a lot of sugar to provide for them, and even children can have this. The teeth will fall out. Look at the queens from the 1500s, Queen Victoria, I think it was. Showed a picture of her in her regal gowns, and she's smiling, no teeth. Okay, so tooth disease is tremendous. Liver disease, lung disease, vascular disease, many cancers. Cancers are sugar eaters. You feed them sugar. Knee arthritis, hip arthritis, amputations, dislocation. I can go on and on. Impotency, blindness, all can be prevented by not getting diabetes in the first place. And if you got it, I will show you how to get rid of it 4 to 6 weeks. It's that simple. Mm-hmm. So let's get on the road together with my friends here today, that we will teach you what to do. It's not that hard, and that's the beauty of this. And I'm going to show you some of the proof. Here's a book that you can for $2.50, I think you read it offline. I didn't write it, but Joseph Kraft at University of Illinois did the original research. He studied serum insulins and blood sugars even in children aged 30 to 90. Then he formed graphs, and he frankly proved that if you get a serum insulin as part of your routine blood testing, don't just get your blood sugar or glucose tolerance test, get a serum insulin. If you get it fasting, if it's over 12, you're on the road to diabetes. And the changes in your body, although you feel great for the 10, 15 years. Oh, I got no illness. Changes are really occurring in your body. Cancer is growing, vascular disease occurring, renal disease is occurring. Yes. So to get a serum insulin, I beg you, next time, maybe tomorrow, maybe next time you get your blood test, and your doctor says, well, we're going to get a blood sugar, say, I want a serum insulin too. And a fasting one, that's cheap. It doesn't cost very much, but I want to know what that is. Blood sugar is fine, glucose tolerance test is fine, but serum insulin is important. And if you need scientific evidence, read this book by Joseph Kraft. You can do it online. The book may be hard to get now. I bought 50 copies. I give them away. I only got one left, and I'm not giving this one away. Okay. And these diseases that diabetes causes, they can be avoided. You know, a lot of people who have vascular disease grab their chest and they die. That's 50% of the heart patients. They just grab their chest and they're dead. No warning. Not even angina or pain the day before. No. And maybe 40% of the people, it's irrelevant of what you do unless they want to eat better. 20% they do procedures and maybe save a life now and then. But the majority of vascular disease, heart disease, can be prevented. Now suppose anyone that is overweight, 99%, oh, I don't have diabetes, get a serum insulin, you find out that you are. And many have no symptoms, and that's very important. Get a GFR, glomerular filtration rate. That, you know your GFR?
Nope,
Bill? Yeah.
I sure don't.
Most doctors don't bring it up because there's 5 stages to kidney disease. In the first 3 stages, people have no symptoms and they don't check for it, but that's the time that you could stop the disease. At stage 4 and 5, you need dialysis, you need renal transplant, and that's where they can make money. So when they can't make money at stage 1, 2, or 3, because they just need to talk to you, the providers, the hospitals, no one's making any money, they don't tell you about it. So it's shameful that the dialysis centers don't advertise on TV and tell you how to avoid kidney disease.
They're practicing medicine, not practicing prevention.
Yeah, exactly. They're treating disease.
There are a lot of difference.
3 of us here are here about prevention. You know, you originally came from India, and they eat a lot of rice. Half the world is eating rice. And you might Google it and say, is there sugar in rice? It'll say no. Rice is sugar is in rice as a carbohydrate. So once you eat rice, 90% sugar. So, but if you're healthy otherwise, no processed food and exercising properly and positive thinking and walking and stuff like Indian people do, they didn't have much diabetes years ago, but now they do.
Yes, once we change that lifestyle and diet, then what happens is slowly, with the rice itself, they had for generations.
Yeah.
They were eating and they were
1,000
fine.
years they
Yes,
eat rice.
there's not a problem. 1,000 years, when they are eating thousands of years, there's no problem. But only in recent times when we change our lifestyle and also change our dietary patterns, that is when, and the stress level increases, that is when we start to see that type 2 diabetes is manifested. But at the same time, in the last 50 years, we start to select the varieties that are grown quickly, so that you can harvest the rice very quickly. So it doesn't develop enough complexation of the carbohydrate. When we eat, it readily releases the glucose and the spikes of glucose can happen. Right. So selecting the varieties, it made a commercial sense to select the early maturing varieties, but we need to connect food and agriculture with the medicine, and that's how we can have a healthier society in the future.
Thank you for saying that. And the rice, although they're eating white rice in India, it's different than white rice over here, because you said so. They use the quick growing rice. It doesn't it still has some covering on it with nutrients. Versus here, we're eating rice, we're eating pure sugar.
Yes. So how we process the rice also makes it. Any food, how we process also makes different.
Yeah.
So the rice grain has the germ, and it has the bran, and it has endosperm. Endosperm is carbohydrate. In the germ, you have some oils and vitamins and minerals. In the fiber is there in the bran. When you consume whole grain, you are providing variety of nutrients to the body. But when you process it and only select the endosperm, it will stay for a long time because there is no oils, there is no rancidity, there is no smell. You can store for longer time.
Okay.
But you are storing for longer time, but you are only getting carbohydrate. You don't have the germ. In other words, the oils that are very helpful to the body, and vitamins and minerals, and the fiber is missing in the way we consume the rice now.
Yeah, so thank you for the explanation. I mean, what you're consuming with the rice is critical.
Yes.
And now in India, they have actually contacted us because they like our YouTube shows, Rudy Kachman, YouTube, Facebook, Rudy Kachman, Amazon, Rudy Kachman. They want to use our TV shows to teach the nation of India, translating other languages, to teach the people how to avoid and get rid of, how to prevent, stop, reverse diabetes. We feel so lucky that they have reached out. And you've reached out. You and I have developed this friendship that in a couple of months I'll be sitting here, put down the date, that he'll be following this book, Simply Keto by Susan Ryan. I want to hold this up for you, okay? You don't have to be overweight, but if you're overweight a little bit, this is even more helpful because she lost 100 pounds. Wow. But the recipes in here that have been described, there's pictures of them, beautiful pictures of what you're going to eat, and you have promised me to eat this way for the next 2 months. And
yes,
on Friday, I'm meeting with his wife and the wife's mother, and I hope you'll be there too.
Absolutely.
But they're the cooks. So, and then we're going to review the book together, and I gave this to them today as a gift. In the first 30 pages, she explains what keto is all about, and on every recipe she has on the amount of carbohydrates, the amount of fats, the amount of protein. What I generally recommend for people to eat about 60-70% good fats. But what are good fats? Guacamole and pepper and olive oil and the MCT oil. But in more detail of that, you can see in the YouTube shows. But if you eat 60-70% good fats, not sugar, 20% protein. If you eat too much protein, actually the body decides it needs a certain amount of protein, it only needs a certain amount. And if you eat above that amount, it converts it to sugar. So these athletes who are taking supplements and eating a lot of steak because they want to build their muscles, their body only accepts a certain amount, and the above that amount it converts to sugar. So it's just really worse for you. There's fruits and vegetables and berries on top. So to eat 90% vegetables will improve you, but it shouldn't be the final answer. Talking about strictly a vegetable diet can help a great deal. So I'm not against it, but keto is much easier. You will double the speed to get rid of diabetes. I don't want you to accept the medications. I want you to get rid of the disease. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. And but Eric Adams, the mayor of New York, wrote this excellent book. I encourage you to read that. And actually, the school lunch program, the breakfast, the lunch, and the dinner in New York, no matter how much money you make, is free. And then the diet is described online. You can look at it. And it's vegetarian. Friday, nothing but vegetables. He's converting the whole city to be vegetarians. I don't totally agree with that. I think you need to read a little bit more. You need to read about good fats. He doesn't really describe that in there very well. But again, I always say, take the best and leave the rest. But that is an excellent book, and he's a very sincere person. He had diabetes and lost over 50 pounds, and is a lot healthier. So I don't disagree with that, but I think to eat some animal products that don't have all the toxins and hormones in it, I think is fine. And I notice in his lunch program he doesn't give any milk to the kids, which is excellent idea too, because milk has so many hormones in it, and pesticides and herbicides that they spray into the cow, and they produce milk, and you give it to your kids. Increase the rates of type 1 diabetes doing that, and a lot of allergies, and not a healthy thing to do. So there's a book written about that by Joe Key on whitewash. That's about milk. Make up your own mind. I didn't say stop drinking it, but I say once you read the book, you won't be drinking it. Because I did. I've read that book a number of times.
You know what I noticed, Dr. Kachman, if you look at photographs of people standing in crowds in, say, the 40s and the 30s, they're all thin.
Yeah.
As you go to later photos, to this day and age, you look at photographs of crowds, they're all, majority, very obese.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that it's because of the hormones? And the
Yeah,
additives to the
hormone
food?
changes occur in our body, and especially when people stop menstruating, hormonal changes occur, and women will swell up a lot of the time, so they have to be more careful as to what they're eating. They might have been getting it away with it beforehand, but now they're not anymore, and the type 2 diabetic rate increases tremendously.
Wow.
After menopause. So there's a difference between men and women. But you must participate in your health care. You must gain some knowledge. You must read some books, look at some podcasts, look at our YouTube shows. Don't just say your doctor says, oh, you got to take this pill the rest of your life. Get rid of your diabetes. Insulin is a hormonal growth factor. Use insulin to lower your blood sugar, and then the sugar goes in the cell. None of the cells like this. So you take an insulin regularly, you're going to gain a lot of weight. Just as you inject it, look at the skin. A lump forms. And if you want to gain weight, use insulin. But you can avoid the diabetes, get rid of it 4 to 6 weeks. And if you do 16-8, say, don't eat for 16 hours and eat for 8. And those meals don't have to be perfect. Yeah, and you can eat a lot of food too. In the morning, for example, I have a cup of coffee, which is fine. And I don't eat for about 16 hours. You know, I didn't eat at 6 and I eat around 12. And I feel great because your body secretes about 5 hormones, growth hormone, glucagon, steroids, CCK in the gut. These elevate your blood sugar, and I have no appetite. I have no appetite. You can even exercise in that time. When I come home, and exercise secretes positive hormones, and I really don't feel like eating. But so I like you to consider fasting. You don't have to do it. Eat 3 meals a day. And Susan Ryan's book it's about 3 meals. You'll get rid of diabetes quickly. But if you do the fasting, you'll twice as fast. And this is a disease you don't want. For example, and the reason I said about the serum insulins is in the Korean War, Vietnam War, and Americans, the ones who died, Americans too, the autopsy then, the Vietnamese, the Koreans had no evidence of disease in their body, no advanced disease, cancer. The American soldiers, they found, although they were asymptomatic, at a beginning of cancer, vascular streaks, beginning of vascular disease throughout their body. No symptoms yet, though. Okay, so what am I saying? Get a serum insulin test. If it's over 12, for 15 to 20 years, the insulin can be elevated, causing disease in your body. And then you're diabetic. Well, by that time, your body's already sick. They can be totally avoided.
What is that test they make you get? That's the AC something or other test.
Yeah, HbA1c is 3 months worth of sugar, and that's helpful because sugar cells, erythrocytes die in 3 months. So and they gobble up sugar. So it should be most of the time the diabetics you find it's 8 or 9 or 10 or 12. It should be under 6.4 at least, okay? at least you're probably not diabetic, but mine is 5.4, and my serum insulin is 2.1 or something.
A1C, I think, is the one they did
Yeah,
on
the
me.
A1C is about 6.4.
Right.
And so you can trace it with that, but don't be happy just with that. If most diabetics, it's 8, 9, 10, 12, they already have disease in their body, okay? So, and that's a good test to take too, but if you're fasting blood sugar, glucose tolerance, HbA1c is close to normal, still get a serum insulin. And I want you to know your GFR, your glomerular filtration rate, because kidney disease is a slowly progressive thing. Like mine is 80. It starts at 100 as a teenager. Once you get below 60, you begin to worry about maybe I need dialysis or kidney transplant. Believe me, dialysis is I know patients who are having it done. You got to go to a center or you get a machine in your house. That's a lot of work. It's expensive. It's a number of hours a week. You're laying in bed getting dialyzed. They get to poke you, or they put a catheter in you. So, in the city here, to spread the word on that, I mean, there are certain racial groups where it's a little more common because of slavery. They didn't feed them any. So what did they eat? They ate the stems of the sugar plant. So they have some genetic change. Not a lot, but some. And so they're predisposed a little bit. Some have more stress. Some they can't get a hold of the right food, or it's not taught. I mean, you go to some churches, and what do they hand you as you walk in? A bunch of donuts. Yeah.
Yes.
I've seen it. I've seen it. I know of a minister that jogs, takes the whole group out to jog and run, and I went to the church. That's my kind of guy. So I went to a church for a service. He's on the 469 there. And I mean, I thought I was sincere that he is, and he looks healthy. But as I walk and I see people walking around with plates full of sugary foods, well, he's causing them to be diabetic, for Pete's sake. He's just attracting them to go to his church.
After they're jogging, what should they offer them specifically?
Well, then after jogging, if I were them, I would eat around noon, or if they want to just eat 60-70% good fats, just like I said, like the pyramid, 20% protein, and some eggs, for example. Have some breakfast of eggs, some beans, some guacamole, for example.
Gotcha.
A great breakfast. If you eat 2 meals and you eat one like that, odds are your diabetes would go away. But again, if you got the disease, use Susan Ryan's book. I've got people down the street from me. I've got a family that adopted 14 children. Some disabled, different racial groups. The mother has diabetes, the kids got diabetes, but they're willing to do something about it. So I gave them Susan Ryan's books too, like I gave you, and they're following it. They already lost about 8 pounds each, 4 different people in this group. If this continues, I may write a book about them, because I told them, I said, you look at this, you can change the world. It's not that hard to get rid of diabetes, because you don't want these diseases. I buy some advertisement in the Fort Wayne Innspark, a great newspaper. Maybe 1,000 people read it. It's mainly inner city. John Dortch runs it, but I pay him a little bit of money, and I get a whole page. Look at this.
Wow.
Once a month I do this.
Beautiful ad.
And my pyramid about eating right. And up here, this one's about diabetes. The next one will be cancer, maybe smoking. My dream is the next one, and I'm working on it, is to do it about dental disease. And I hope to have a picture of the Queen in a gown and smiling and showing no teeth to motivate people. You know.
Which queen was this again? Elizabeth?
And what?
Was it Queen Elizabeth of England?
Yeah, yeah.
So
1550.
one of the things when you said, it's very interesting, you said that in the church that you go to, the sugary foods that they are providing at the end. So typically in the past, even in many different cultures, sugar was very rare. And when you feed somebody something sweet, it is supposed to be a celebratory time or a festive time.
Yeah.
And now that sugar is plenty, we did not think about, okay, that used to happen occasionally. Now every day became a celebration festive. Every day we have a cookie, and every day we have donut. And then what is happening is our mind now feels good when we have some sugar, but what we are not providing is food for our gut bacteria. Gut bacteria is very, very important for overall health of the body. So when we are not having the right type of foods that not only feeds our own cells, but also gut bacteria, the gut bacteria will start eating on the mucus in our gut and makes slowly the holes will form. And that's where leaky gut syndromes and a lot of different chronic diseases in the gut can come when we are not feeding gut bacteria with the wholesome foods.
Yeah, you are what your biome is. I mean, you get trillions of bacteria and viruses living in here, and when you're eating, these live guys are gobbling up your food, and they're making vitamins. And actually, you know, the lifespan of a bacteria in your gut, about 30 minutes. Yeah, and new ones form. It depends what you're feeding them. And the same is that your gut lining is 1 centimeter thick, 1 centimeter thick.
Yeah.
So they die every few hours. So everything, there's a lot of change going on. So if you're having a health problem, for example, if you see an animal, they get sick, and I watch them because I feed animals, and I look at them. When an animal is sick, it stops eating. It stops eating.
That's an important
you
point.
don't feed it, and if you get cancer or diseases, stop feeding the guy's thing. That's the natural reaction. I want to mention one last thing too, and I mean, you are what your gut is, and a lot of the serotonin that makes you feel good long term is made in your gut. So it's mind. Your second brain is your gut, and what you're feeding them determines the type of bacteria that are living there. Are they Bacteroides or what kind of
Firmicutes.
Yeah. What is living there? And when the people are getting C-sections for their baby did not pass through the vagina, and their face was not coated with bacteria in your vagina, and they have a clean gut. So those kids are more likely to be sick, diabetic, overweight. So when they say you should have a C-section, ask them about that. But a lot of times they don't bring it up because they want to do a C-section. And last, very quickly, one word. If you're on a statin drug, I'd like you to read this book, The Dark Side of Statins. I have many books on statins. They help cause disease, help cause diabetes. But make up your own mind. Don't stop it. Read it. Show it to your doctor and see what happens. But anyway, thanks for listening. We have the show every 2 weeks. Read our books. Go online. Prevent diabetes. And if you got it, get rid of it. Get rid of it. And thank you for my guest here. And in 2 months, Bill Steele will show you. If there's nobody sitting there, he didn't accomplish this mission. But if he's sitting there, he will be an example with us how it can be done quickly. And I do it because I want him to live 100 with me, and I want him to take pickleball lessons with me and see if he can beat me.
We're going to learn some pickleball. Thank you, Dr. Kachman.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
Yes.
both of you, for being here today. I've had a good time, and we love you. Namaste. Thanks for watching our show.
Thank you.
Thank you.